Canterbury University researchers have released a study on sex workers in Christchurch and the level of violence they experience on the streets following the earthquakes. The research follows a 26 survey of sex workers in Auckland, Wellington and Christchurch. Marcus Gibbs with a special report.
Manchester Street on a Friday night. As cars go up and down, several women wave out. They're Christchurch's sex workers, working the streets as they've done so, night after night for weeks, months, and as we found out, some for even decades. It's these women of the night that a University of Canterbury researcher wants to interview. She wants to know how dangerous it is to work on the streets and how the job has changed since the earthquakes.
The issue with victimisation in the sex industry is an important problem, and the more we understand about it, the better off we are, I suppose.
The university professor worked with 4 other researchers on her paper. It will soon be published in an economic publication. The research is based on a survey 9 years ago in 2006. Back then, hundreds of sex workers in New Zealand's 3 major cities, Auckland, Christchurch and Wellington, were surveyed. The results paint a picture of how different life was for sex workers in the Garden City then compared to now.
What we found is that Christchurch is actually safer than Auckland when it comes to the street sector. So you might actually find that that's surprising.
Recent press suggests there's more violence on Manchester Street in 2015, with disturbances and brothels really making the headlines. Last year there were several physical and sexual assaults involving street prostitutes.
You don't think, oh shit, it's not going to happen to you. You're always on the guard. You're always on the watch.
You've really got to be on your toes. You've got to, look out for yourself and really listen to your instincts. Yeah, if you don't have good street smarts, you could get in a lot of trouble.
However, in 2006, brothels were considered more dangerous.
What we think is going on is that it's the way the Christchurch street sector has always been quite compact, sort of fairly sort of concentrated in Manchester Street, that is something that makes actually the street sector a lot safer than it would be in a city where it's less compact or more spread out.
The researchers found that alcohol, drug dependency or both more than doubled the risk of violence in the industry in 2006. And last year, while filming current affairs show Street Stories for CTV, I found prostitutes still needed drugs or alcohol to get through a night's work.
Because all my life I've always got drunk, because when I get to work I'm drunk as a skunk.
I've had three tonight, yeah. So, yeah, just a little bit of numbing and to take the edge off the cold.
Sex workers have never had a risk-free job, and 3 years after the 2003 decriminalisation of prostitution, violence on the streets was still not unheard of. 38% of all the sex workers in Christchurch, Wellington and Auckland had at least one adverse experience relating to sex work during a 12-month period. 23% of all those surveyed had money stolen or clients refusing to pay. 20% had been threatened with violence or received abusive text messages, and 16% had been subject to physical violence, rape or had been held somewhere against their will. Last year's sex worker Tans told me violence from clients was an expected part of the job.
I actually got raped about 4 months ago and bashed, and I find that wasn't very nice, and I'm just trying to get over it, so I haven't been working that much.
The survey found that despite the legalisation of the work, street workers were unmotivated to move to brothels, as on the street they didn't need to pay a cut of their earnings. These benefits outweighed any perceived risk.
I won't say it's quick and easy, but it can be a quick way to make money. And, when you've got to pay the power and put food on the table for the kids and provide an education for them.
Christchurch sex workers in 2015 faced new issues. Roadworks down Manchester Street following the earthquake stopped clients from accessing prostitutes. To counter this, the sex workers moved into the residential end of the street. Residents and prostitutes clashed before the street reopened. Further work is planned for Manchester Street as the street is widened. Again, this could force the sex workers to move out of the city's sex haven.
If the safety has deteriorated in the street sector, then we start to get a bit more understanding of what is actually affecting that safety of street sex workers.
If new research is commissioned, the university also wants to interview the clients of sex workers. That won't be an easy task. Clients enjoy being anonymous and won't want their names or faces publicised.
If we want to understand truly this industry, we need to understand both sides. You know, if you make the client feel like this is anonymous and it's in a safe and secure place, they perhaps might be willing to do that.
The researchers hope another study would help the public understand the issues prostitutes face in 2015. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.